Okay, no,
or
preparing.
preparing.
No, let's not celebrate until it is a fact.
Okay, we are going live on YouTube, guys.
Yes, please.
I start sharing the screen, so okay, only the host. Oh,
Okay. I'll make you host again, or
yeah,
least
please.
co-host. I'll make
Co-host.
you co-host.
Yeah.
Give me 1 sec. What? Why is locked? Let's not celebrate. Because I posted. Because it's in YouTube, so
Something happens to your voice now.
Because we have two computers on
But I
next to
already
each other.
muted that and make co-host. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I can share the
Shall I make
slides.
her also co-host?
Yeah, I make also
That
Mary
is all.
Kay, just in
This is all.
case. Okay.
Okay, done. Everything worked well.
Okay, here we are. Hi, everyone. And this is our first meeting after a long time. And we are happy to welcome you, all of you to this new series.
Okay, we don't see the slides yet. We see.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And we are welcoming you, all of you, to this new series of astrology sessions. And we are going to talk about the foundations and evolutionary vision. So we will introduce you about what is generally is astrology. And Mary Kay will explain the history of astrology. And also Mike will introduce us to the process of equinoxes, and then we will see what a natal chart is, roughly. So we can start, and just to generally say that astrology was born to respond to a simple question. So how we are connected to the universe, how the human being are related to this big environment that we are in. So it's not about predicting events, but it's about understanding the patterns that unite cosmos and our inner world. And through symbols, it helps us read a dialogue between air and sky. So the macrocosm connected to the microcosm. So the planets don't force anything. There are not external forces that dictate fate. They simply mirror the energy that already live alive in us. And when we learn to read them, we start recognizing our own rhythms and tendencies reflected in the sky. So astrology doesn't lock us into a fate. It opens up a landscape of choices and self-awareness. So it just indicates that they don't impose. Is a symbolic language, so isn't a belief system. It's not about believing or not believing. It is a language that we can learn. So like any map, it shows directions, but doesn't tell us where to go. So the chart becomes a mirror of the soul journey, helping us to understand where we are and what's unfolding around us. And so since antiquity, the sky is like a mirror for us, as we said. And for thousands of years, humans look at the stars to understand life on Earth. And the cycles of the sun, the moon, and the planets reflect the cycles of growth, decay, and renewal within us, as we will see in the next appointments, how these archetypes are reflecting our energies. So astrology is born from that ancient intuition that the outer sky and the inner sky speak the same language. And modern astrology, especially in its evolutionary and psychological forms, sees the birth chart as a dynamic field of potential. So we were saying that it's not about being trapped by the fate. So, oh, this has happened to me, I can't escape. No, absolutely not. It's about understanding how archetypal patterns express through our lives. So these energies are alive within us. So astrology simply helps us to become conscious of these energies. And so each element of the chart plays a specific role. The zodiac signs describe how energy flows, the style or quality of the expression of this energy. So the planets show what energy is active and the inner functions at work. And the houses reveal where, in which area in life, those energies are most likely to manifest. Together, these form a symbolic ecosystem of our psyche. So astrology is like a tool for our awareness. Isn't meant to predict our future, as we already mentioned. It is meant to deepen our awareness. It invites reflection and self-questioning, helping us see meaning behind events. And so instead of asking what will happen, we can start asking, how can I align with what's happening? What can I do in looking at my inclinations? So it's a way of consciously participating in a larger pattern of life and understand better. Now I ask Mary-Kay to introduce us a brief history behind this amazing system. Thank you, Mary-Kay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. So let me tell you a little bit about the history. The first document traced of the systematic approach of celestial phenomena dated back about Mesopotamian civilizations, including Sumerians, Babylonians, Chaldeans, Assyrians. That it was most flourishing about 5,000 years ago. These cultures, particularly the Babylonians, intuited a profound relationship between the happenings of heavens and the happenings of earth. Though their practice was initially focused on omen interpretation rather than natal chart casting. So they have priests who were operating from tired temples known as ziggurats, which was like basically astronomical observation towers. And there they recorded celestial events. The compilation Enumna Anu Enil, which dated back about 1600 before Christ, became a massive series of thousands of omens, cataloging lunar eclipses, planetary appearances, and unusual atmospheric events. And primarily, it was used to advise the king and the state on impending warfare or famine or so on. Now, on the earliest concept leading to the familiar, our 12-sign zodiac, based on dividing the ecliptic into 30-degree segments, also began crystallize in this turning Neo-Babylonian period. Now, the next slide, please. So the Egyptians integrated early astrological concept with a precise calendrical system. They were aware of the precision of the equinoxes and crucially developed the system of the 36 decans. These were groups of stars that rose helically, it means just before the sunrise. Every 10 days, dividing the 360-day year that they have at that time into 36 equal periods. Each decan was linked to a specific Egyptian deity and was used as a timekeeping at night, essentially serving as a sidereal clock. And this system was deeply embedded in funeral arts and religious cosmology, where the decans were believed to govern the individual hours of the night by the extension aspects of the faith. So Egyptian was very much about the funeral arts and religious things. So this was like that they put more astrology into that. The astrology was very much used there. And for the other part, astrology achieved a higher degree development in Egypt through cultural synthesis, particularly during the Hellenistic period. The famous circular zodiac Dendera. It is said was dated back 1 century before Christ, but actually it was referred much older knowledge that they had there. And this is an extraordinary statement. It was found the ceiling of a chapel dedicated to Osiris. It is one of the most complete ancient star map we have nowadays. Crucially, the Dendera zodiac integrates Egyptian decans and deities with the Babylonian, this 12-sign zodiac that I was talking before, and this showcasing the intellectual cross-pollination that occurred following Alexander the Great's conquest. And this integration was a vital step towards the formulation what is now recognized as the Western astrology. Now, next, please. Yes, the Green Greece. The understanding of celestial influence shifted from mere omens to a philosophical doctrine. Pythagoras introduced the revolutionary idea of the harmony of the spheres, suggesting that celestial bodies moved according to perfect mathematical ratios, creating divine, inaudible music that structured the cosmos. Very beautiful and fascinating idea. And Plato, especially in his dialogue Timadeus, viewed the cosmos as a living, intelligent entity that he called the anima mundi, and acknowledged the role of the stars in shaping the soul's descendant and destiny. Now, Aristotle further cemented the cosmological link by proposing that the perfect, unchanging movements of celestial bodies in this supralunary sphere actively influenced the imperfect and volatile sublunary sphere that they called Earth, providing a philosophical basis for the stars that are influencing humankind. At the same time, Ptolemy, Claudius Ptolemy, from classical Western astrology, came in a play around 100 until 170 after Christ in Alexandria. Ptolemy is a celebrated astronomer, mathematician, and geographer. He wrote 2 monumental works. One of it is Almagest, that is codifying astronomical knowledge, and the other is Tetrabiblos. It means 4 books. The Tetrabiblos established a canonical techniques, a charts calculation and interpretation, detailed the use of planetary rules, houses, and aspects in the interpretation of natal charts and world events. Because of its logical structure, and it was like encyclopedia-like writing, this authoritative text on astrology, well over 1 millennium, was like one of the most authoric one. And it was shaping the practice across the Roman world, subsequently the Islamic and European spheres as well. Next one, please. Now, with the rise of Christianity, astrology faced persecution. The Church condemned judicial astrology, predicting persons' free will, choices, and fate, as pagan and deterministic practice that contradicted divine providence and human free will. Influential figures like Saint Augustine argued strongly against astrological fatalism. Despite this, natural astrology that was about predicting seasonal changes, weather, tides, and so on, was often tolerated. Critically, turning European Dark Ages, Islamic scholars preserved and expanded upon the Hellenistic and Ptolemaic text. Centers like Abbasid Caliphate and Baghdad became hubs of translation, and influential Arab astrologers such as Al-Mazar and Al-Kindi further developed predictive techniques, ensuring the survival of this knowledge until its eventual return to Europe. And next one, please. Astrology was successfully introduced oh, please, back, sorry.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So astrology was successfully reintroduced to Europe via Spain and Sicily, leading to massive revival during the Renaissance. It was fully integrated into medicine, politics, and daily life. Many prominent sovereigns, popes, and wealthy families employed court astrologers. This era saw figures like Nostradamus, the famous for his poetic prophecies, and John Dee, mathematician, geographer, and scientific advisor of Queen Elizabeth I, who used astrology. Even major scientific figures were involved, like Johannes Kepler, a pioneer of modern astronomy, frequently cast a horoscope to supplement his income, demonstrating that close practical relationship between two disciplines well into the 17th century. Now, the next one, please. But from the 17th century onwards, a definite separation occurred. The scientific revolution driven by the work of Copernicus, Galileo, and Kepler established the heliocentric model, fundamentally scattered the geocentric. It means the Earth-centered. So cosmology upon which classical astrology was actually built. Now, Isaac Newton, physics further explains celestial motions through universal gravitation, replacing older spiritual and planetary influences with calculable mechanical laws. The famous quote, "I have studied it, you have not," often attributed to Newton when challenged by the astronomer Edmund Halley about his belief in astrology, highlighting the fact that 17th century scholars possessed an intimate and detailed understanding of the subject, even as they laid the foundation for its scientific rejection. So actually, Isaac Newton knew a lot about astrology, even if he says some things against it, but he really knew what he was talking about. It didn't come like out of the blue. And astronomy established itself as an autonomous empirical science, leaving astrology to the realm of esotericism. Next one, please. Now, following the trauma of the world wars and the rise of psychology, astrology experienced profound internal shift. In the 20th century, pioneering figures like Dane Rudhyar and Stefan Arroyo fused astrological principles with modern depth psychology, particularly archetypical concept of Carl Jung. This movement, known as humanistic astrology, fundamentally redefined the practice. It moved away from fatalistic prediction, what will happen to you, towards interpreting the birth chart as a map of potential and tool for the evolution of consciousness. It's rather how you can better understand and utilize your own inner energies. And this focus on meaning and inner orientation provided a new revelation of astrology in the modern world. Next one, please. Today, astrology continues its evolution, adapting rapidly to technological advancement. I mean, accessible digital chart software are everywhere nowadays, and contemporary needs. Now, modern branches such as evolutionary astrology and psychological astrology emphasize the soul journey, karma, and patterns of growth. In an increasingly complex and secularized world, astrology maintains its enduring appeal as a framework for self-discovery and a lens through which human seeks to find meaning and inner orientation, connecting the microcosm of the self to the macrocosm of the cosmos. Thank you.
Thank you, Marike. Thank you so much for this beautiful introduction to the history of astrology. Now, I ask Mike to talk about these cosmic cycles and in the evolution, what is the process of equinoxes and what is based on our system. Please, Mike, thank you so much.
Thank you, Elena. So when we talk about astrology, I'm sure everyone's heard about the idea of a zodiac. And the zodiac, simply put, is just the band of the celestial sphere that extends around the ecliptic. But what do these terms mean? So I'm going to explain these terms. The ecliptic is the apparent path the sun travels across the sky. So when you're standing at the ground level and you look up, the sun rises and then it travels above your head and it sets on the west. So it rises from the east and it sets on the west. Depending on where you are on the planet, the curve that's traced out by the sun's trajectory is different. And when projected onto the celestial sphere, it marks the zodiacal band. That's the basic idea. I know it's a lot of words. Next slide, please. So I'm going to try to explain what this is about, because the precession of the equinoxes, it could be seen as the starting point of astrology. So the idea is the Earth is not a perfect sphere, and when the Earth is not a perfect sphere and you rotate it in space, the axis of rotation is not fixed, and that means it wobbles a bit. It's like a spinning top. It wobbles. It is not perfect. It is not spinning in a perfect motion, and this movement gradually will cause the vernal point, also known as the spring equinox, to slowly shift backwards against the backdrop of the fixed stars. That's the important part. The precession of the equinoxes is where we move backwards against the backdrop of the fixed stars, not relatively in the solar system. Next slide, please. So we'll try to get this working. There's a little animation on the right-hand side you could see. Could you start the thing, please, if you could click on it?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, that's the next
Oh,
slide,
it's
not this one. Is it working?
Yeah, it works only when I change a slide. So it works
Okay.
now.
Okay, that's okay. Look, the idea is this phenomenon has been observed for a long time, and the Egyptians had known for a long time that this was the case. During the ancient Greek, the philosopher, astronomer Hipparchus, he actually calculated it to be fairly accurate to modern days standards. And the idea is one entire cycle is 26,000 years. I wonder if we go to the next slide, we could see the exact animation. So this is a very well made YouTube video from, I think this is actually one of the, can you turn the sound off so I could explain a bit?
Yeah, sorry. Here.
Okay. So, okay, can we pause that for a moment, please?
Sure.
Okay, so here you could see how, sorry, can you just play to that point and then pause? Yeah, there you go. So the idea is there are two planes. We're talking about two planes, and the solar system is a three-dimensional space. The universe is basically, you could see it as three-dimensional, and there are two planes that's most important. One plane is called the equator, and the equator is the plane which the planet Earth revolves around. And the other plane is the ecliptic plane. That is the plane at which the planet Earth travels around the sun. And the difference there is 23.5 degrees. I think this is, a lot of people know that, it's basic science knowledge. But here's the trick, right? The intersection plane between the two planes is what's known as the line of the equinoxes. And one end of that line is the spring equinox, and the other end of that line is the autumn equinox. So play the video, please.
Oh, sorry, I put it back.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Yeah. So as you could see now, we rise up from the perspective, and there is a intersection between the two planes. That red line there in the video, that line there is the line of the equinoxes. And you could see how there are 2 points on the planet that the line goes through. One point is the spring equinox, and the other point is the autumn equinox. And the spring equinox, spring is the starting point of the seasons, and that is what we call the 0 degree point, and that's the starting point of Aries. When we talk about, I'm sure you've heard about things like the age of Pisces. Now we're in the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius basically means on the day of the spring equinox, the sun rises in Aquarius. That is the age of Aquarius. In the age of Pisces, on the exact day, which usually is around the 20th or 21st of March, the sun rises in Pisces. 2,000 years later, it would rise in the next zodiac sign. So it goes on for about 26,000 years and comes back when the Earth finishes one wobble. That is one wobble, 26,000 years. So if you reduce that into 12 zodiacs, one astrological age is about 2,160 years. So that is the basic idea of precision. Now, spring is symbolic of the starting point, is the symbolic of beginnings, and that is why in this system, you could see how on one end of that red line is Aries, right? So the North Pole obviously points upwards, and there is a lot of astronomical significance to that, because I think now the closest star is towards the true north is Polaris. Maybe a couple of thousand years down the line, it will be a different star. So that's the basic idea of equinoxes in terms of a pure geometric depiction in the solar system. I think we can go to the next slide. So the basic idea is, because it moves about 1 degree every 72 years, the spring equinox, which is the starting point of the astronomical year, the year starts in a different sign. And for the past 2,000 years, the year always started in Pisces. Now the year is starting in Aquarius, and 2,000 years down the line, it will start in Capricorn, and for instance. So that is the idea of astrological age. And of course, the complete cycle lasts about 25,920 years. Next slide, please.
Good.
So the historical significance of this is obviously the Egyptians linked precision to the sacred calendar and the decans. For the Greeks, they discovered this, and it marked a transition from a system based on fixed stars to one based on equinoctial points. The idea is, and this distinction is still maintained today. I'm sure people have heard about the sidereal zodiac and the tropical zodiac. So the tropical zodiac is tied to this idea of the equinoxes, and the sidereal zodiac has the fixed stars as a backdrop. And I believe sidereal astrology forms much basis for some of the traditional systems, for instance, Vedic astrology. And the typical Western astrology is now based on tropical zodiac. Next slide, please. And it's not just that. The idea of the precision also has links based on the idea of even modern day science. For instance, I believe that's how climate scientists are able to calculate the ice ages from the previous millions of years based on a cyclical behavior of the Earth's wobble. And so there's a lot to it. But for now, we're just concerned with astrological science. And so the age of Pisces, which was the past 2000 years, the symbolism to that is obviously, Christian fish symbols, religions of faith and sacrifice. We're in Aquarius now, symbolizing collective consciousness, brotherhood, science, and technology. So the ages are not sudden events, but slow transitions, and it's shaping humanity's evolutionary path. And another reason for that is the estimates for these ages ranges from 2,160 years to about 2,140 years, depending on the estimates of Earth's gradual change. So it's not exactly like, hey, tomorrow we're entering into a new age. It usually is a gradual, slow transition process, but it does happen and it's measurable. So I think that's all from me. And thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Mike.
Oh, there's another slide here. Sorry. No, it's basically oh yes. So the precision, with the precisions, we're shifting backwards. And we're not shifting forward, which is why we're moving from the age of Pisces back into the age of Aquarius, because if we're shifting front, we would be going into the age of Aries, but we're going backwards. That's the result of the Earth's wobble. And it makes us think sometimes, because the solar system is an intelligent intelligent entity, the logos, highest form of intelligence. And the way that this entire thing was designed, it really is mind-opening, because the entire ages, the changes and transitions of the planet is really based on some very simply describable motions. And it shows that the astrology is not only an individual art, but also a science of cosmic cycles, the collective human evolution, and entire civilizations. Next slide, please. I think.
Yeah, no, this is also.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So, tropical and sidereal zodiacs. So the sidereal zodiac and the tropical zodiac, because there is only one sky, there's one sky and one set of objects. They are basically the same depiction of the entire sky, but only offset by 23 degrees between the two systems. That is because the Earth's precession has now retreated from the fixed stars at the point when the sidereal chart was defined. Now we're about 23 degrees behind. So, and if you could simply take a sidereal chart and you reduce 23 degrees from it, and that would be a tropical chart. So both are valid, and I do believe some astrologers have expressed the view that the tropical chart applies to a lot of people, and the sidereal chart also applies to a lot of people. So I suppose there is a degree of individuality involved in it. But yes, the tropical represents the relationship with cycles, seasons, and psychological cycles. I suppose sidereal is somewhat more focused on a external depiction of the astrological forces. But yes, both are valid. One reflects the inner dimension of human existence, and the other, the connection with the outer cosmos. So really, astrology is a bridge between astronomy, mythology, and the cyclicity of time. So.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Mike, for this scientific explanation on our sky, how it actually works in the outer world around us. Thank you so much. It was very well done. And okay, now we now that we see how it works in the sky, we dive deep in how it reflects how this sky and how all these movements are reflecting in our microcosm, and how we can read this reflection. So we have this thing called the natal chart, and which is basically an evolutionary map. It's a kind of mandala of the soul, and it's a symbolic picture of who we are and who we are becoming, how we, and what our potentiality. So each configuration, each planet, each sign and house represent not only traits, but also lessons and patterns and potential growth areas. So reading a chart means reading the unfolding story of consciousness through time. So the personal planet describe our everyday experience. So how we feel, we think, we act and connect. And so the sun, for instance, is our central light, our identity, our vitality, the central purpose, the core intention in this life. The moon records our emotional memory and our instinctive responses, our inner needs, our reactions. And Mercury tells us how we learn and share our ideas, and how we think, our mind, how we communicate. And Venus shows what we value and how we express the affection. So how we relate to each other, how we harmonize our relationships and love and beauty. And then we have the transpersonal planet. Okay, Mars is in between, but let's say it's also because it takes 2 years to a complete round. But we will see all this in the details, more in the details in the next lessons, in the next classes. Now, for now, we just talk about it very generally. So Mars is our will, our action, how we act, how we get what we like, how we get what we need. So it expresses our energy. So it drives our motivation and our capacity to take initiative. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, faith, confidence, growth, and also our luck. Is a positive planet that everything that touches it enhance everything that touches. And so it expands our faith and our sense of possibility. And then we have Saturn, which is a karmic planet, is our teacher and grounds the expansion of Jupiter through responsibility and structure. So it trains us, it gives us some structure, let's say structure. Then Uranus awakens the impulse for freedom and authentic change, innovation, breakthrough, and intuition also very. And then we have this evolutionary, generational planets. For instance, Neptune express our vision, our spirituality, compassion, but also illusion. It depends on if it is afflicted. On every planet then plays a role with the others. We will see in the next classes how they interact to each other. And then we have Pluto, which is the most recent planet, and it's about transformation, power, regeneration, and depth. And then we have lunar nodes, which indicates our evolutionary direction. So our south node indicate our karmic past, what we experienced in the past, and the north node express our soul's future. So what we could, what we should achieve to growth and has the soul, and to get a better future, let's say. So interpreting the chart is not predicting our life, but is about recognizing this symbolic framework that guides the growth of consciousness. So from an evolutionary point of view, the chart shows what the soul has come to learn in this lifetime. And so, as Emma Costas-Mashville says, it is not Saturn in the sky that torments you, it is the Saturn within you. So it's not, nothing is a condemnation. We don't have to think, oh, everything is, it is said in my birth chart, so it is like that. Because no, this is just an indication that shows our inner tendencies, our inner resources and karmic knots to overcome, but we can choose every day what we want and what we feel inside of us. Just, this is a, let's say, a rough guideline to help us. So studying our chart is like entering into a dialogue of our deeper self. So how we were saying also before, it reveals our inner archetypes. So as we already mentioned, the sun is the principle of identity, the moon, the emotional world, the Saturn lesson of responsibility, and so on. We will see it in the next classes. And so it can be read as a map of an evolutionary journey, pointing to the stages needed for the growth of the soul. So it allows us to understand psychological inclination, latent talents, karmic trials, opportunities for growth. So it's just an indication. And so we can recognize the inner forces and learning how to bring those forces into harmony. So it reminds us that life is not a series of random events casually happening in our lives, but it's a real meaningful unfolding patterns, both cosmic and personal. So it's a cosmos reflecting in our personal area. So each chart is a dialogue between the universe and the individual, inviting us to take responsibility for our own evolution. And when we learn to read the symbols with awareness, we don't escape anymore reality, but we participate to our reality more consciously. And this is the true purpose of astrology. So it is kind of guidance and illumination of the energies within us, and that's it. Thank you for listening to us, and our next lesson will be on the 4 elements and the 3 qualities. So we will answer to questions like, what is the universe speaks through patterns of energy? Can understanding energy helps us understand ourselves? What happens when the 4 elements dance with 3 qualities? Is there a hidden structure behind emotions, thoughts, and actions? Where does your energy truly belong in the cosmic wheel? And we will investigate also thinking about our personal charts. Everyone can do it with some guidelines. If we are a creator, a builder, a connector, or a dreamer, based on the main elements of our birth chart. Okay, so thank you, everyone, and hope you enjoyed this session, and see you next one. Can stop broadcasting.
Thank you.
Nice.
Okay, I stop sharing, and thank you so much.
Yeah,
It
thank
was
you.
very
That was fun.
nice. Okay, we
For some
stopped.
reason, I'm not able
Did
to
we
stop.
stop?
Yes, we stopped. And it's only 4 of us. So we
Okay,
can
good.